Welcome, fellow last places, to another episode of LPF Debrief, where Chris and I talk about comic books, TV shows, and movies. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about She-Hulk episode 4, which you guys probably knew because that's exactly what the title is going to be. So I do have Chris with me because he's here for all the She-Hulk episodes. And yeah, the same thing that goes on all the time, guys. We're going to shame Yendi for not watching the content that we watch.
Shame.
Shame. He's making me do Lord of the Rings by myself.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's so stupid, man. The one time he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm actually gonna be watching a show," and it's like, "Cool, you joined the debrief?" No, what? Huh?
So we're gonna take our time to shame him, obviously. And then yeah, as always, guys, spoilers ahead. If you guys don't want to listen to the spoilers, just stop it now. Go watch the episode, come back, and like, subscribe, comment, do all that good things. Let us know what you guys think of the episode so we can talk about it in our next episode. So getting right into it, Chris, let's talk about episode 4. How did you feel about episode 4?
Episode 4. So we're settling into more of the sitcom aspect. I am assuming that since it was a grim year for these movies, and by that I mean I have not seen Thor: Love and Thunder. It's on Disney Plus. I'm gonna watch it. Shame me. I understand. Before that, though,
I
we
did
had
shame you.
we had a lot of sad movies.
Mhm.
Right? It was very sad. Yes, they had their funny moments. I feel like this is a very big pick me up, like of all these characters that we like, and it's like, hey, they're not always superheroes. Like this is the crazy stuff that's going on. Like I love the idea that right now, like if I'm in the Marvel universe, that right now no alien attack is happening, blah blah blah, and Wong is sitting at home watching Sopranos. Like that is it's the best. It is the best.
That was fantastic.
But this episode, I like I said, it was another fun one.
And before you go on, I actually love that you brought that up because I think a lot of people are missing the point in genres. And
Yeah,
my brother and I were speaking about this because it's not like, I don't, you enjoy your entertainment any way you want. If you don't like the show, I just don't feel the necessity that if you don't like the show, just stop watching it, right? I'm always been of that mindset. Like, you feel free to dislike the show for whatever reason you don't like it. But I also think that expecting a show to be a serious show when everything leading up to the show, everything during the show has told you that this was going to be a comedy show. Like, it is written as a comedy show. It was designed to be a comedy show. If you've followed any of her comic books, you can, like I was telling my brother, that this is one of the most accurate comic book adaptations that the MCU has done, because this is Jen Walters' character. The way that she is, especially in recent writing, which a lot of people failed to, because Stan Lee only wrote one issue of She-Hulk. He created the character,
oh really?
and he only wrote the first issue, which that's why I think people so when she went through her whole remodel, essentially when she broke the fourth wall for the first time, that wasn't Stan Lee. Like, Stan Lee wasn't the reason for that happening. So I think people need to understand the genre itself and not take it so seriously, because a lot of people were upset about like her twerking, and then they're like, she would never do that. And then I'm like, stop it, because they also had her jumping rope naked in the comic books. So like, this is not past her character to be doing what she was doing. And for people to come out and feel like, oh, like, I wanted a more serious tone, like, the outrage wasn't the same for, Love and Thunder when you watch it. Like, yeah, people had their issues with it, but also that was more inclined to be a more serious thing than what Jen is dealing with. Because remember, Jen had her whole life before she became a Hulk. So like, to think that she's just going to change who she is because like she's not dealing with the superhero aspect as much as the other ones did, like the other superheroes had to deal with.
Yeah.
So that's where I agree with you. Like, it is a time of peace where you are a little bit more chilled. Like, it's not the major event hasn't happened yet. So there is time for people to be fun. And another great point that you brought out, like, yes, this is a fun thing because we're also about to watch the next movie that we're gonna watch is Wakanda Forever,
which is a
and like,
celebration of
like,
life.
like, you know what I mean? So like, it's gonna be really hard for a lot of fans to watch that movie and feel like, you know what I mean, because we're going to be down in that movie, like not on purpose, but like, you know, Chadwick's not going to be there. It's going to be a tough watch for a lot of people. So I think people are failing to realize that this is a comedy and stuff like that. It's just how it is. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's definitely weird. It's just people wanting to hate on
Yeah.
everything, whatever. Like if they don't find joy in what's going on, like you said, then stop watching.
Yeah, just stop watching.
But yeah, man, seeing her like just the normal life, but as a superhero, and I love those moments. A lot of the time we see those in movies like Spider-Man, but you know it's always Spider. When we watch a Spider-Man movie and he's trying to be in class and stuff like that, at the same time something else is going on in the city. He's missing all those moments with his friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So everything's very convenient. This is literally, like I said, I love the point that it's like, hey, literally nothing is going on right now. So what's your day-to-day life? And it's just her trying to
being a lawyer.
Yeah, her being a lawyer, finding a relationship. Like she's just a normal girl, just, you know, just trying to live her life. And and like I said, it was even more funny because the fact that they brought Wong back for this episode, which is my favorite part, is because he is like, okay, so she's in where is this taking place? Is she in New York? They're not
No,
in New York.
they're in Cali.
Cali. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, she's going through the apartment, the bar, going on a date and all this other stuff. And then you're wondering, like I had that thought of like, oh, so Wong, where y'all think in my head, I'm thinking Wong's reading books or going through the dimensions, fighting all the time, or you know, just raining hellfire on whoever needs it. But the fact that he's like, yeah, he gets a day off, he's sitting on his couch and he's balled up just watching TV was great. Also, the fact that he got a friend in the episode. I forgot what she was calling him.
Madison.
Madison,
with two N's.
And not where
and
the in a Y, but not where you expect it to be.
Not where you think it is.
Oh yeah. Oh god. And then what was it? Seeing Wong be familiar with her, because I thought he was gonna get annoyed with her. And then when she shows up, yeah. But when she shows up in the courtroom, and what does she call him? What's his nickname?
Wongy or something like that.
Yeah, Wongy, something like that. And she runs up, and that just tells you like, oh, they hung out. Like
no, she finished watching that episode with him. Yeah.
So, but overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I'm loving the series. The series is great.
Yeah, and I told you this, like, if they continue down this pace, this is going to be one of my favorites, and it's starting to be that way because I like the humor for me works. The way that they still have a really intricate storyline here too, because before we get into, like, you know, obviously we know Jen doesn't have to deal with a Hulk alter ego, right? Which I think something that this episode did really well was show that she does have to deal with having Hulk as a, you know, as still like another personality. No, like it's not like Bruce Banner's Hulk where obviously, like, you know, it's a completely different person, but her Hulk is like she has to realize that people are just like when she was trying to find a date, right?
Yeah.
Like only one person wanted to date Jen, but she had like over 100 matches for She-Hulk, right? So like the way that they're putting it for her to deal with how Bruce had to deal with living with two people, she's also having to live with two people, even though she's in control of both of them. I think it's a cool way that they've done that instead of it being like an alternate personality. Like she still has to deal with the She-Hulk because who has the job? Not Jen. She-Hulk has the job. Who's getting all the dates? She-Hulk's getting all the dates. Like it's not Jen. So her having to deal with that and her showing that expression even after, you know, she had that night with the guy and he's like, yeah, so who are you? And he's like, yeah, I'm Jen. This is like, you know, when I'm not She-Hulk. And then he just like bounces. Like, you know what I mean? And that, you know, she has to deal with being the, you know, Jen is kind of pushed to the back door and everyone wants She-Hulk. So I think they're doing a really good job at doing that dynamic of them, of both of her lives, and showing how it's affecting her, even though she doesn't have a second personality. So
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job at that. But before we get into more detail on that, I thought it was, you know, I love that we start this episode with, you know, basically just this magician who is, you know, doing this, you know, magic tricks, which if, you know, it is kind of like, I felt like it was a playful thing because, you know, his name was Donnie Blaze and Ghost Rider's real name is Johnny Blaze. So like just throwing those kind of little, you know, those little things. And then, you know, the first trick he did was with fire. So it's kind of like, like, you know what I mean? Those were fun. I agree with you with the whole Madison scene, which that took place before. And then she goes into that dimension and then shows up with Wong watching probably one of the best Soprano episodes. If you guys haven't
I've
watched,
never seen it,
the
and it was
Sopran-
spoiled for me. I was like, "Oh my god, that was a
Oh
real spoiler!"
no.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
I mean, yeah, they did spoil it, which
yeah,
is
I was like,
weird.
"Holy shit!"
But I mean, I'm assuming they at this point it's been a long time.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that makes
um,
sense.
you know, so I did love when Madison comes in the first time and you know, she's kind of describing the world that she's in. And you know, you don't want to go back to the Mephisto talk because we had to do that all of WandaVision. But she basically kind of described what Mephisto looks like
Yeah,
with the goat like in his true form and stuff like that. So I'm not saying he's going to show up, but him doing that was really like them throwing that in there and just kind of like egging us on, like, hey, that's Mephisto's real form. Like, you know what I mean? And kind of throwing it out there, I thought was a nice touch. I told you, I spoke about the fourth wall when she breaks it. And then she's basically, I love how aware this show is also because, like, obviously this was shot before, right? So they already knew people were going to have issues, especially with episode 3, which is basically what happened, right? Because we saw the twerking, people had issues with that. They're like, this is not like, this is a joke, blah blah blah. And then she basically goes off and says, like, you know, oh, I see you guys are happy to see Wong back. Like, everybody loves Wong, you know what I mean? And then she's like, this should give us, you know, a little Twitter armor for a week because everyone loves Wong. And she's right. Like, I feel like less people are going to complain about this because Wong was back. So that was really fun. Just so many good things in this episode when she's like doing her checklist and stuff like that. They had some and if you're wondering, guys, yes, I do pause it like when I watch it again to see what's on there because I need to see. So one of the interesting things is that she had to compile depositions for Lee versus Bryn.
hmm
And if you know, um obviously Stan Lee created the character, and the artist is John Brim. So that's what they were referring to with that little, like, what they were talking about there, because they're well, like I said, Stan Lee only wrote one issue, but he created the character, and then you know, the John Brim was the artist for it. So I thought that was a little cool dig that they did, and then they did reference someone again where they did Kraft versus Soul, which was David Anthony Kraft and Charles Soule, who both wrote She-Hulk, Savage She-Hulk. So one wrote Savage She-Hulk, one wrote She-Hulk Volume 3. So just little cool things like that. Like if you know, pause and just check it out, you're like, damn, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
The whole conversation with her and Wong was amazing with the Book of Ashanti conversation, where he's just like, you know, he's like, oh yes, the Book of Ashanti. And she's like, no, the Book of like American law. Like, you know what I mean?
but
And
that was
just,
funny too. With the fact how how serious she is. She's like, "Yeah, did you get him to write anything down?" She's
yeah.
like, and he's like, "Students dedicate their lives to this. Like they know." She's like,
Mhm.
"Okay," but
Yep. And
yeah,
if you've paused when she had her match, if you remember in episode 2, her phone screensaver was Cap's ass. It's still Cap's ass. In in this, if you pay attention, it's still the same thing. But yeah, they did some, you know, really good stuff. with the episode. Like I said, the whole dating thing where she's just like, trying to find a date and Jen can't find a date, but everyone else can find a date. Like, I mean, but She-Hulk is the one who ends up finding a date. I thought that was, a fun little taste to do. I thought the conflict was awesome when they did the whole when they do go into the court, and she's trying to get like the cease and desist, and like he's basically like just cracking jokes. He's like, haha, real magic wins, like, you know what I mean, like that whole scene. And she's like, her banter with Wong was great, where she's like, no, you chose her, like you said. And then Wong getting like really upset, just being like, no, like this is the whole point, like she was like breaking stuff, like, in time and space, like this can't be happening. So him just putting on that, Sorcerer Supreme hat in a lawful, you know, a law area, I thought was hilarious, because even when he was trying to like explain the case to Jen earlier, it's a really like he's just living it as a magician, like, as someone of like, the Sorcerer Supreme, and not someone who's like having to go through the legal system. So I thought that was great. I love that Wong was watching another episode when Donnie Blaze comes back, and he's just like, Wong is just like cuddled up, like you were talking about, like cuddled up with his, with his pillow and stuff, just
Nice
watching
TV. He had a
Sopranos.
nice entertainment. It was
Yeah.
nice and dark. It was like a really chill
Mhm.
area. I was gonna
But
say,
he's not watching Sopranos when he comes back.
no,
though.
he's watching something else.
He's watching This Is Us.
Is that what he's?
Yeah, he's watching This Is Us, and I don't know what episode it is, because I didn't pause it enough, but I think it's somewhere in season 2. But I can't quote me on that, but I will double check.
That's.
But I know
so
for sure
funny.
he's watching This Is Us, like, and that's why he's super emotional.
Yeah.
And that's why he's hugging his pillow and stuff, which is great, because, and I mean, just for Disney to be able to do that kind of stuff is kind of cool too, right? Like, it's just like, yeah, that, like, they can do real life things, like, you know what I mean? I thought that was awesome. So yeah, and then we get a nice fight scene also, where, She-Hulk, while she's on her date, basically Wong's like, why aren't you picking up your phone? Like, I need you now. And then he opens up a portal, and then she's just like, huh? And like, she, they wreck shop with those demons. I thought it was cool, because she's having that whole conversation about like, I finally found someone who cares about me and all this stuff, and like, like found this date, and then this is what's happening. Like, I have to fight this guy. Like, so that was dope. And then, yeah, I thought, like I said, overall, I thought it was a fantastic, fun episode, especially because they showed off so many good things with the character. And the fact that they're doing this in 30 minutes, I think is really good too.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I applaud them because they find the greatest douchebags to play these guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god. They play they could be the nicest people on earth, but they're like the first guy she goes on a date with. And it's kind of funny because I noticed this. They were setting you up for throughout the episode. What I noticed, that dating app, the chime that it would play, right? Somebody would mention it. Oh, somebody's on this. She's on this. She's doing this. So whenever it got to that date, and he checks out the girls while he's talking to her, and I was like, dude. And then whenever she's like, oh, I'm a Hulk, blah blah blah, and he's like, and he's texting away. You hear the chime on his phone, so he's already like messaging somebody else. And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, they did they were doing a good job at just having people feel the certain she's just going through a tough time, right?
Yeah.
And obviously it's not going to be all her dates are going to be like that, but it's just she's going through, like I was talking about earlier, is that she's going through this thing where she's trying to balance them both. But the thing is, obviously She-Hulk is getting more attention than Jen is, which listen, Jen, I'd take you out on a date, okay? I would love to go out on a date with Jen Walters. So Jen, hit me up. I'll leave my number. I'll look for the app and I'll move out there, okay? It's all good.
To California.
Yeah. For Jen Walters, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm ready to go. But yeah, man. So like I said, that battle between her and trying to figure out what's going on, I think is dope. And then, we still know some side like weird things that are happening because we didn't get much answers of what happened in episode 3 with the people trying to get her blood. Like we still don't know what's going on with that. Obviously, we saw Wong doing his thing. It might be the last we see Wong. Maybe not. Maybe, I mean, next episode would be 5. I think this is slated for 9. So we might see him one more time. I know from rumors that Charlie Cox and Daredevil's supposed to show up for the last 3 episodes. So I'm pretty sure the foreshadow, and just like she said in the previous episodes, like this is not the show about cameos. I think they're purposely just going to have a cameo in every episode. So I think that's just the way it's going to go, and I think that's a funny way to do it because her interacting with the universe itself makes it also easier to accept when they have to do team stuff, right? Because if Jen just knows everyone, she can just be like, hey, yo, like, you know what I mean? I think that's really cool. And then we saw at the end, which I thought was really funny because like she's gone through all of this, like, issues with the date, like, you know what I mean? And then the guy comes and knocks on the door, and then Titania actually wrote her, which you mentioned about the whole TikTok thing where like she's defacing stuff like that. And then they mentioned that, which I thought was really cool. And then she took the She-Hulk and trademarked it, right? So like, which is smart because if you don't trademark your thing, like someone's gonna make money off of it, right? So like you do need to trademark it, especially as big as she got. So I thought that was hilarious that, and then Jen goes on and breaks the fourth wall again and says, this is a pretty bad way to end the episode, but yeah, this is how we're ending it. So it gives you again that suspense to come back. Right now, she has a new issue, and I feel like every episode is giving us something that you know what I mean. Because the end of the last episode was her dealing with the goons who were trying to get her, but she also was like looking in the mirror, like, is this something that I want to continue doing? Also, shout out to the dad because I forgot to mention him, but he comes in with a shovel, he comes in with some pepper spray, and like, even though he knows, because he's seen her in action, like, you know what I mean? Even though he knows all of that, he still was like, I got to find a way to be protective of my daughter because like something bad almost happened, right? And it also shows the relationship, which I thought, the second episode did a really good job at anyway, but it really shows a good relationship because she told her dad, like, this is what happened, right? And then he kind of was like, oh, no way. Like, let me get all this stuff. And then, like, she was just like, it's fine, Dad. If they come back, like, I can do, like, I can fight them. And also on top of that, like, you could use your shovel. So, like, I thought it was really cool that he came armed and ready to go to defend his daughter.
I was going to say I liked how familiar she was with the service guy. Like whenever she opens the door and he's like, "Oh, I gotta deliver." Like he you could tell he does this all the time. He likes the costume dress up thing. And she's like, "Yeah, I could tell what you are." And she's like, "What is it?" And he's like, "Oh." Opens the box and he's like, "Yeah, you're being served." So it's like one of those things. But I was gonna say the end credit scene. Moving on to the end credit scene was fantastic. Wong going through all those drinks. Yeah. And we find out that he's a gin and tonic man. That's what he likes. And
she's like,
oh, Wongy.
She's like, I'm sure like there's an unlimited. I don't know if there's one, but we can find one for you. Like,
he's like, okay.
You know what I mean? Also another fun fact, before you get to the end credit scene, when they do all the drawings and stuff like that, they actually show her Madison actually signed the contract with her life away with the goat with red eyes. Yes, if you go back, the goat has red eyes. This is why, again, I don't want to bring back up the Mephisto stuff, but that is Mephisto's one of his true forms. So like, I'm not saying he's there, but I'm saying he might be there.
Yeah.
Like that might be him. Like, but I don't know how they would use them. I don't really know the details behind all of this. But I'm just saying, maybe they're listening to us. It could be totally a joke, which I'd be fine with because it would work for this show. But clearly, like, it's happened. It's a real thing. So I wonder if they're throwing it in. I'm not sure. We can see later on. Maybe we might get a We might see him because I mean you could do some great stories with Mephisto, especially because Mephisto was the reason why in the Spider-Man comics, one of his big ones was Brand New Day, right? Where basically what happened where people forgot that because Peter reveals himself in Civil War and Mephisto then Peter then asks Mephisto for a deal so that everyone can basically forget, but like not everyone forget, just to forget the identity reveal, right? So, he goes in, he does that, Brand New Day happens, whatever, right?
Mhm.
Which wasn't the best storyline, but I'm saying like this is a possibility. And instead of doing it that way, what he could do is maybe Peter gets into a deep like thing and he wants someone to remember. Maybe Mephisto comes at to him in, a dark time. And instead of doing the deal where he made people forget his secret identity, maybe he makes people remember who Peter Parker is. Who knows? We don't know. We don't know. So not saying that's gonna happen, not saying that's good. I'm just saying it's a possibility. Like that's something you could reverse it. Like, you know what I mean? Because I feel like they're reversing what's gonna happen in World War Hulk anyway. So we'll see. So yeah, but overall I thought this was a great episode. End credits have been great. The episode was great. Overall, I mean I've been digging this series. I enjoy watching it on Thursdays as soon as it's about to hit. So I'm all in for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into your favorite part before we wrap it up.
Favorite part. I'm gonna have two again. So, big favorite part was The Sopranos with Wong.
Mhm.
Second mini favorite part is when Jen picks up her date and
Yeah.
like when she picks him up off of the couch and
Yeah.
he's just like holding her. I was
Yeah.
like, bro, no.
I
It
mean,
was so good.
it can't happen the other way.
Yeah,
Like no matter
yeah.
how Buffy is, it just can't happen.
It
It's
was
not
just
happening.
so good, man. And
I also loved when when her first date was like, so how much can you press? And she was like a ton, like a literal ton.
and he's like,
Like, you know what I mean?
I can do
He could do
600.
the
I'm not,
600.
and I
And
don't have superpowers.
it's like, okay. She could probably live more than a ton. She was just being modest. Like, you know what I mean? So my favorite part for me, I would say is I'm like I said before, I've just the timing of when she breaks the fourth wall for me has been like always perfect. Like I don't everything she says when she breaks the fourth wall has been perfect. Her expressions when she breaks the fourth wall has been perfect. I mean, like from every episode I can think of, I've thoroughly enjoyed anytime she's done it because they're not overdoing it. They're doing it at like key moments and it just works perfect. Like it worked when she was like, "Oh, everyone's happy to see Wong again." Like, you know what I mean? I bet you guys love that. And then it's going to give us Twitter armor. And then at the end, where she's just like, this is a terrible way to end this episode, but like, here we are. So I'm been a big fan of how they've been able to, make that work in such a small period of time without making it seem like they're overusing it every single time. Like, you know what I mean? Like she's just constantly talking to us. So I think they're doing a really good job at balancing it. And I hope they continue that throughout the series because that's been my favorite part. So, yeah. Anything else you wanted to final thought?
No, I think that was it.
All right. Well, I guess that is going to wrap it up for us today. We will catch you guys next week for episode 5. But we also have some other content coming out. I will be dropping the Lord of the Rings episode either Friday or Saturday. And then we have House of the Dragons, which is coming out either Monday or Tuesday. And then we're back again with the show on Tuesday. And then She-Hulk again on next Thursday. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Something like that. Yep. So just be on the lookout, guys. Smash the bell if you guys want all the notifications for when all that stuff is happening. But again, let us know what you guys thought of the episode. We would love to hear what you guys have to say. But until next time, that is going to be it for us. So Fire Team out.